Oh, but maybe you could give it to the ladies.
My name is KENNETH VERCAMMEN. If you have any questions as we go along, raise your hand. It's really a program for you, not for me to just talk so long. So, number one, I usually start with some. Oftentimes, I'm asked by people, what happens if I don't have a will? And the answer is, well, if someone doesn't have a will, the whole process becomes much more complicated. Even if there's just 3 kids, there's no will, that means that all the kids got to agree upon who's going to be the administrator. The state never steps in and appoints anyone. And even if all the kids agree, that means that one of the kids has to sign what's called a renunciation for administration. They got to have it notarized, pay a fee to have it filed. If everyone doesn't do that, then someone who wants to be administrator has to, number one, file a complaint order show cause. So they'll be spending $3-4 grand doing that. And then wait, a month or two for a judge to decide. So the cost of the will is substantially less than that. People think they're saving money. Oh, I don't really need that. Well, you're kind of just punting it to your kids to spend the money. Also, if there's no will, or the will was not someone used one of those online forms, they had the administrator has to take up what's called surety bond. But more importantly, when there's no planning, there's no will, it usually often causes fights, arguments amongst families. So when people are grieving, they shouldn't have one more thing that they have to deal with. Doing wills isn't that complicated. I mean, we were doing plenty of wills during COVID because we would just email out a short questionnaire to people, and if people say, I don't have a computer, I go, well, do you have kids and grandkids? Usually they say yes. I go, okay. Especially nowadays, they goes, okay, where do they live? They live 2 towns over. He goes, well, tell those grandkids, tell one of the grandkids come over and give $5,000 to come visit you and type up a form for you. And if they say, oh, I'm too busy to see you in the next month, okay, then just do, when you do your will, leave nothing because they're too busy to visit. Remember, it's your right to do with your assets what you want. Someone says, last year, our client said, I have to treat all my kids equal. He goes, man, you need to leave everything to the Yellow Dog Society. I go, what's your concern? She goes, oh, one of my kids lives on the West Coast. We don't hear much from him. I go, oh, well, did you get a card or call on your birthday, Mother's Day, or Christmas? She goes, no. He goes, why would you leave anything to that mom? So, it is your right to do with your assets what you want. So, logistically, in our will questionnaire, we asked simple stuff. And believe it or not, New Jersey did away with some of the taxes. There used to be a New Jersey state tax. They did away with it. Inheritance tax, there's no tax if it's going to children or grandchildren, or if it's going to charities. There is a federal state tax, but it's for all you people here that have more than $12.5 million.
You're not worried about that.
People have less than that, don't have to worry about that. So, someone's going to type in who's executor, name, and then who's executor 1, who's executor 2. We don't recommend joint executors because the way it's giving them more work, that means 2 people got to do everything. 2 people have to sign every check. And New Jersey's pretty easy as far as probate, if the will is properly done right and properly signed right. The surrogate says beware of stuff that's forms online because people usually sign them wrong or fill the stuff out wrong, and and also because New Jersey did away with the estate tax, I don't need to know much about people's assets. I ask people what real estate they have, and if everything else is more or less than $12 million. Pretty easy. Okay, who's sometimes people don't give money to kids because the kids are already grown. They give it to their grandkids that are kind of starting out with their life. Also, some people have what's called specific bequests. They go to, they might say, okay, $10,000 to the grandkids, or ladies say they might give their jewelry to a daughter, granddaughter. Or I was sitting down with a client a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about jewelry, and I go, "Is it something you've worn in the past 5 years?" She goes, "No." "Are you gonna wear it in the next 2 years?" "No." I go, "Why just not give it to him now?"
That's right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You're not, I mean, plus, listen, I'm saying, I'm pretty sure that if you give them to them now, that whenever you see them, they're going to be wearing it, and he goes, "Look, this is what, like, Grandma gave me one of her rings." Might be the only time of the year they wear it. But they have that. Some people leave specific requests of money to a church, a charity, and some people have, I call it the reverse specific request. It says, "I don't leave anything to anyone." You don't give them $1, no reason. One of our clients, he goes, "I'm doing a new will. My two grandsons, they're in their 20s, they live the next town over. They haven't seen me in 2 years and haven't gotten a call, etc." And I go, "Okay, that's your right." Now, certain assets don't pass on your will. If a house is owned husband and wife, automatically goes to survivor. Bank accounts, if it's payable upon death, joint, automatically goes to them. It doesn't change under the will. So assets, if someone has an IRA, 401k, life insurance, annuity, if that's a direct beneficiary, automatically goes, the will doesn't change that. And this gentleman who wanted to write out his grandkids forgot to change that. So these one grandkids that never visited their grandkids, live the next town over, both drive, they got $300,000 for, basically nothing, being moms. I also did remember their mom, who was written out of the will, was saying, "Oh, I wish someone would have let me know that my dad was sick. Why did someone let me know?" And I really want to say to her, he goes, "Well, that's your job. I mean, you live the next town over. I talk to my dad's 9 years old. I talk to him once a week. I make sure that there's someone there, etc." Anyway, so we also have a clause in the will that says if any of the grandchildren or great-grandchildren are under 21, they don't get the money outright. They get it when they're 21, but the money can be used for college support payments. If you have a really old will, you want to make sure a new one's done so it's a self-proving will, so the witnesses don't have to be located. So, kind of the important thing is if you don't already have a will and you own something, get it done now. I mean, you're able to get into the building. Most of the people walked up the stairs. When I'm walking up the steps, I goes, "How do people get here?" And there's a little elevator there. But interestingly, you want to get things done while you can get stuff done. Once a week, we get a call from someone, "Oh, I need to get power of attorney over mom, dad, my brother," and they just went into the hospital. I goes, "Well, someone can't get power of attorney over someone else. They have to affirmatively give it to them." So, in that case, we say, you can help them out typing up the form, but are they able to talk to me over the phone? Can they answer my questions? If the answer is no, we can't do it. So, don't be a Carl. Carl was this, he kept on putting stuff off, and then he goes, "I want to read up on stuff." I goes, "Carl, you don't need to read anything. I mean, I went to law school, I passed the bar, I would go to seminars, I wrote a book, I give seminars." He wanted to read. 2 years later, he dies. His daughter wanted to know if I had his will. He goes, "No, he never did, because he kept on wanting to read." Once, my mother-in-law, she just turned 92. She used to call me about, her husband John worked at DuPont. My wife worked one summer at DuPont. But she used to call me every other year. "I want to come in and get a trust done." And I would say, "Were you watching Susan Orman on TV?" She says, "Yes." I go, "Susan Orman is right. If you own real estate in New York, California, Florida, where the probate process is very complicated, but New Jersey, it's not that complicated." So, that's why I tell people, you know, why do you think you need to spend between $3,000 and $6,000 changing who owns your assets, setting up a fancy trust, when most people don't need to have a fancy trust? Some people say, I want to do whatever is needed to protect my assets in case I go into a nursing home. Well, that's why we revocable Medicaid trust. I don't do them because it needs some expertise on Medicaid laws. The people that do it usually charge between 10 grand and 15 grand.
Wow.
But what they do say is, listen, if it's not right, then nursing home costs $10,000 a month. But but on the other hand, going back, most people just usually say, someone says, what would I do? Me, he goes, I'm not, to become eligible for Medicaid, you gotta be almost penniless.
That's right.
That's good, I'm in the hospital. And why would I want to go into a dirty nursing home and give my money away? Why should my son back to Brandon have a bigger boat so I can go into a dirty nursing home? I want to go to the most expensive nursing home that exists. I want to put a piece of chocolate on my pillow at night, like the Hilton. If I run out of money, I run out of money, but that's how it is. They said for my mother-in-law, who's in a nursing home now, she's been there for 2 years, and she's getting, it costs, $130,000 a year. But that's her money, and she's getting better care than when she just lived in the apartment. That it was just a caretaker that was making her sandwiches, stuff like that. So, that's all. Does anyone have any questions on wills before I talk about the contract? Yes, ma'am.
If you had a will made several years ago, is it important to update it, or?
So the question is, if you had a will done like some years ago, the real issue is, a will properly done is valid forever. But I tell people, hey, listen, look at it every 5 years. Number one, are the people that are listed there, are they still alive? You still want them to get money. Number two, can the executor still do their job? Our rule of thumb on the executor is they should be able to drive to a bank and walk inside. If they can't do that, then maybe is there someone else that could do the job that does drive? Because you don't need to have your MBA from Harvard, but you do need to do stuff when you're the executive. So it's important to look at your old will and say, okay, do these people still want to have it? And remember, only the original will can be admitted to probate. Photocopy can't be. You can't find the original will after a week, have a new one done. Someone said, what's the rush? He goes, guarantee that you're going to be alive next week. Well, I don't know that. Exactly. But if you so most people either don't put the original will in your in a safe deposit box. Most people put it in the house in a fireproof box. If they live alone, then it goes, well, maybe it's a better idea to have whoever you have as the executive number one to hold. Okay? Did that answer the question, Willis? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a major difference between the trust and or will?
Well, you still probably need a will. What a trust does, it avoids having to go to the county circuit's office. So, for example, in Florida, probate costs $15,000 and it might take 2 years. And the whole time everything's tied up. But for most of the states in New Jersey, through probate or will, the surrogate needs the original will, an original death certificate, a check for about $190, and some information filled out. They schedule an appointment, and usually within 10 days of someone passing, you can go in there and fill it out. So I always ask people, why do you think you need to spend all this money having a trust on it? If your assets, it's only in the state of New Jersey. And I make more money if I do trusts. You know, but I'm not this person. I go to people, why do you think you need to have a trust? One man, one of my past neighbors goes, I just want to avoid probate. You already told me the pros and cons. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I've done it.
So you mentioned about assets in another like state.
Yeah.
I have an example of that. My mother has some property in Virginia, and in the future, soon I have to kind of take care of that. I pay the property tax. But is it the fees to do that process, is a lawyer necessary, which I probably think it
Well, if
is.
you want to sell it in another state, I only know what's going on in New Jersey.
Okay.
So you have, so it varies from state to state and what you're selling. So if it's vacant land. Or
Vacant land.
Vacant land.
But I'm not selling it right
Yeah,
now.
You can use the title company if it's just vacant land. If it's really doing other states. Okay, I got 5 more minutes. Let me talk about powers of attorney, okay? A will takes care of your assets if you pass away. What a power of attorney does is while you're alive, you're given the power to someone that you trust to be able to help you out. You're not giving away your rights, but you're giving them the power to be able to pay your bills. Simple things like talk to the power company, talk to the electric company, talk to the gas company, talk to investment companies. Because a lot of times, someone who's younger is good working on the computer than someone who's older. But on the other hand, some of the investment companies, they want to see a formal power of attorney. The power of attorney is either effective right away or only upon disability. What the difference kind of is, it's better to be effective right away because that way you don't go through the hurdle of getting notes from doctors, etc. Let's see, and it should be somebody you trust. One of our past clients, he goes, Kenny, I don't understand these legal terms. I'm a carpenter. Explain to me in carpenter language. He goes, well, if it's effective right away, if something's still owe your money right away, if it's effective only upon disability, he needs to get a note before he steals all your money. Knowing that, do you want to give, do you trust your son? He goes, I trust my son in my life. Good, make it effective right away. Some of the banks were giving people hard times. They wanted to be on their form, so New Jersey came up with a statute saying if it makes reference to New Jersey statute, then the bank had to honor it. However, it had to make reference to the New Jersey statute, which is Section 2 Appeal 1991, C95, C46:2B-11, and I'm pretty sure those are cheap forms online don't reference that. And, it's not me, the circuit says, in a way, you spend a couple more dollars hiring an attorney, but all the attorney will do it right. I'd say, my first house, I tried to do the electrical work. I almost burned to death. So some people try to do their own electrical work. If they do it wrong, they burn their house down. Some people, I don't need a plumber. They try to do it themselves, or they do it right. They save their money on the plumber. If they do it wrong, they got water and other stuff like pouring down the walls, and they still need to hire a plumber. So at least we'll do it right. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions on powers of attorney? And I mentioned the will does not need to be redone X numbers of years. I do recommend a power of attorney be re-signed every 5 years because there's no law on how long a power of attorney is. There is a law that says the will is good forever unless someone revokes it. So I tell people sometimes it's just a better thing. Lastly, we're going to talk about living wills and advanced directives. What a living will is, we give you the power to heal. Someone's in a coma, irreversible condition. You can no longer talk. You're giving the power to someone. Number one, you're saying really to the hospitals and doctors, I don't want to be in feeding tubes. I don't want to be on respirators. If there's no hope for me, open my eyes again and enjoy life. No artificial machines to keep you alive. Because the person who really suffers is the family being there. And it's important which is something that you don't want to put in the family. I remember when a doctor asked me that question, I feel bad, I know the right calls for someone who's 92 years old, it's not gonna, open the eyes again, but just to be the one to do it. So, just in conclusion, my name is Ken Vercammon. My office telephone number is 732-572-0500. We are in Edison, New Jersey, and again, whether or not it's me or someone else that does this, don't put it off. See, people put it off just like that guy Carl. Well, I'm so busy, it's the holidays. But then, I'm busy because it's after the holidays. It might snow this week. And then it gets into the spring, and people keep putting it off, and then all of a sudden they're in the hospital. I think I should get that well done. Let's see.
I have a couple more quick questions.
Tell me what your question is.
You mentioned about inheritance tax, that you said that's, what did you